a lot of fast friends when I was there. It was really rough the first few months. Like all exchange students will say, it's hard to adjust. Going to another culture is it's not like going on vacation. It's not like, oh, I had like a blitz trip to Asia and wow, I'm so cultured now. It's like, it's really difficult, and that's why like the friends that I made within the first few months were so important to me and so valuable. So my best friends were another girl from America. She was from New York, and then I had a friend from Czech, and we were both in the same club, and we had to do a lot of things together because we shared host families. So they were my best friends, and I miss them a lot. I have a few friends from high school. I have my friend Olivia and Emily, and then I have Janice, and then my host sister's up there. But anyways, the other important thing to me, besides making friends with high schoolers that were in my high school with me, I also really wanted to make friends from all over. So that's why I really was happy and really fortunate to have such an accepting group of exchange students. We all became really close friends because we all shared Chinese classes together and cultural classes. Here's all of us in the south of Taiwan, in Tainan, and we were visiting the great Buddha temple that's there. We had our own Thanksgiving dinner with all the Canadians and Americans, and somebody had like ordered a frozen turkey and had it shipped. So we had our own turkey, and we invited all of the Rotecs, all the kids who had gone to America or Canada, and it was one of the best Thanksgivings ever for me. But yeah, we did a lot of traveling throughout the island. Oh yeah, that's just all of us there. So I thought it would be interesting if I walked through what like my daily life was being a high school student in Taiwan. So this was where two of my host families lived. I was lucky that I was sort of in the same area the whole time. I wasn't moving across the city in Taipei. So I would wake up in Tianmu, and it would already be very loud at 6 in the morning because everybody was doing stuff already. I'd usually go to a convenience store to get breakfast because it was like right on the way. Literally, like you walk across the street and there will be two 7-Elevens right across the street from each other because they're just everywhere. And it's so convenient, so cheap, and such good food. And then I would usually take the MRT or the bus, depending on where I was going. Really cheap stuff. I really miss city living because it was so convenient. And then usually two times a week I would go to Chinese class for 3 hours, and this was my teacher, and I adore her. She was such a good teacher, and she really taught us exactly not only how to speak the language, but how to learn the language, which was really important. Usually after like 3 hours of intense Chinese learning, then we would have lunch to ourselves. Our school would say you could go out and find lunch. So we would all go out and we would either eat jiaozi or suanlamian, which is like the cheap, really good food. That's like the number one thing that I miss in Taiwan is the food, because like here you go to Panera and it costs like $8, whereas there you could get food like a full meal for $2. It was so good. And then usually I would go and eat with all of my exchange student friends, and sometimes the bonding was just trying to pick a place to eat, really. So then I head back to school. My school was sort of strange because it was strange to me because it was like open air. They're inside, like inside here, you could see they had like gardens and just these really big, expansive gardens, and the kids would go in there like to observe wildlife and stuff, and I thought that was crazy. I'm like, wow, what? Like how can you like observe squirrels and stuff? Well, in a school, they had like all sorts of rare animals in the school, including they had stray dogs in the school, which was also very strange to me because I would just be sitting outside studying and then all these dogs would swarm around me, and it was actually sort of scary. But then when I didn't have class, I'd usually be in the library studying more. But when I did have class, like we would have music class. A lot of times we'd watch movies, which was, I'm not complaining about, but I also had another exchange student at my school, and I would hang out a lot with him. He drove me insane because he thought he knew everything. And I would just, a lot of times they didn't want to pressure me too much when I first got to Taiwan, because a lot of kids will go on exchange and they don't know a single word in their language. So a lot of the teachers are used to these kids not being able to understand anything and sort of breaking down when they're given homework or given tests or anything. So I was really surprised when I first got to Taiwan and they wouldn't give me any homework, they wouldn't give me any schoolwork. So I was just sort of like sat in a corner studying on my own. And it wasn't until like 2 months in that I was like confident enough to ask for like maybe some math homework, maybe a little bit of homework. So like I had one music teacher who was really great, and she would include me in the class and like try to get me involved and stuff. So it's really a great way to learn and a great way to make friends when you're also, suffering over the schoolwork and stuff. Yeah, and then after school was when it was the most fun. I mean, typically not for me because I would just study some more. I would go to Starbucks, probably. My host sister worked at Starbucks, so like whenever I'd go in there, like all the baristas knew me and they'd be like, "Oh, my little sister," and it was so great. I felt like I had like a support team there. And I'd just study there for a few hours. I'd probably go home and eat with my host family. If not, then I would go to Shirley Night Market, which was just like one stop away on the subway from where I lived, and they have like, it's an insane environment because there are so many people and there are so many lights and there are so many smells and there's so much cheap goods, and it's just fun to like walk around and like try new things in there. And then also we go to the movies a lot. I saw a ton of movies while I was in Taiwan, and yeah, it's really, really nice because it's just everything is so nearby. And so a lot of times like I could hang out with my friends and just call them up like 5 minutes before. But the next like 10 slides are just filled with pictures of the astounding scenery in Taiwan. So a lot of these places are in north of Taiwan, in Taipei where I was. So Danshui is like the very, very northern part of the island, and it's like it's sort of like a port city, and they have a night market there as well, but it's one of the few places where you can actually get out of the city and see the ocean. It's like the closest place to the ocean, so that was a place that we went a lot. Pingxi was another place. It was like this, it was a coal mine originally, and so as soon as it got shut down like a few decades ago, and the people who were still living there wanted to make it into a tourist attraction because there are so many beautiful mountains and viewpoints there. And now it's one of these places where its main attraction is the lights that they let go at the Moon Festival. So that's what is being displayed in this picture. And then literally it's as though everywhere you go is beautiful. Like I could have just been in like the most normal, ordinary part of Taipei, and like suddenly it's just a beautiful skyline. And this is Taipei 101 right here, which is the tallest building in Taipei. And it's got a Starbucks on the 35th floor that you can go to that you have to reserve seats for. And every place beneath it is like shopping malls and stuff. But it's also, when you go to the very top of it, on the 101st floor, the view, you can just see all the way to the ocean, which is incredible considering that there aren't any buildings in Taipei nearly as tall as that. So it's really like once in a lifetime opportunity. They have a lot of hot springs in Taipei, so you'd go there, it would smell bad. It was really pretty, I don't know. A lot of times you'd go to these places like with your classmates. They just take you on a field trip and they just be like, okay, we're gonna like get on the subway and we're going here today. So that was really nice. This is Eastern Taiwan, and we went here for a Rotary excursion. Like all the exchange students in Taipei went here. We went on a boat and we went to this place called Turtle Rock Island. And so when we were going around this island, we actually like stopped multiple times to like see the dolphins, which was really great for me because I love dolphins. But it's just a beautiful area. Let's see. This is another place. Jiufen is one of the most prominent tourist attractions in Taiwan because a lot of films, particularly from Japan, the Studio Ghibli films, were based off of Jiufen. It's another night market, but it's placed on a mountaintop. And so you can see like all of the mountains in the distance, and that island that was on the last slide is that one right there. And it's just incredible because it's so cramped and you're like walking through this night market and it's like all downhill and there are lanterns everywhere and it's really great. Here we go. Yeah, a lot of these are ocean pictures. Here was another place we went to. It's a like geological park. Really interesting rock formations and stuff there. My favorite place in Taiwan was Yangmingshan, which is literally, again, one stop away on the subway station. And it's this huge mountain view. We were walking for like 3 hours on the path, and it just never ends because, I mean, the city is surrounded by mountains, and you could just keep going until, I don't know, you've walked around the whole island. But basically, this was my favorite part because they also had a volcano there. And actually, like 2 days before we went here, we got like a warning that it was like erupting. So I don't know why we went 2 days later, but it was really, luckily nobody was hurt or anything, but it was really fun and really cool to see. There was a lot of interesting information there as far as like how the volcano formed and all of that stuff. There was also a temple up there that was really pretty, but unfortunately I did not get a chance to go in. Yeah. This place up here, I do not remember the name of, but it was pretty, so I included it. There were tons of temples. Just like 7-Elevens, temples are one of these things where every street corner there's going to be a temple that you can go into. Typically, I tried to avoid them actually because they were so loud, and these were the things that would wake you up in the morning. This temple was particularly famous because it was in Taichung, and it was the one of the largest temples in Taiwan. So this next place right here was really cool because it was one of the older Japanese style villages in Taiwan, and they were going to destroy it, but one of the guys who had lived there since he was like 6, I think he's like 90 years old now, he wanted some way to save his small village, so he painted literally every inch of this town, from like the ceilings to the floors to every corner. And some people would argue that they're not particularly good paintings, but because he painted the whole town with such bright colors, it's a huge tourist attraction. Everybody takes pictures there. And this is the thing that probably looks alarming. I wonder if it's gonna play. Oh my goodness. I don't know if it will. Basically, one of the most terrifying experiences of my life was at Chinese New Year, and we went to, it was near Taichung. It was sort of in the center of the island, but they had this festival there where instead of just lighting the fireworks up into the sky, they shoot them at you. So and the whole time we were like, all of us exchange students were a little bit confused because nobody was really telling us what was going on and where we needed to be and what sort of safety equipment we needed. So we had these huge motorcycle helmets on. We had like 3 layers of clothing, and we had to like tie the bottom of our pants so no fireworks would like burn our legs. And there were kids who came back afterwards who had like holes in their shirts and stuff. So I stayed very far away from it, but we had these carts that we had to pull out into the streets, and we had to like bounce these carts up and down while these things were being shot off at us. I think they had like, there was like 500,000 fireworks. Oh my goodness, 2 minutes. Okay. So that was a fun experience, definitely terrifying. I unfortunately did not get a chance to climb Jade Mountain, but this is the view that my friend took this picture, the view from Jade Mountain. Jade Mountain is like the highest peak in Southeast Asia, and it was really cold up there. It's cold nowhere in Taiwan, and it was cold up there. Yeah. Just stunning. I really want to go back so I can actually climb that mountain. This is southern Taiwan. This was the Buddha temple from earlier, one of my favorite places. We unfortunately got a very short time there. This is the only actual real lake in Taiwan. Everybody was like, oh, this is a super huge lake, and I was like, I'm from Michigan, it's no big deal. So it was really pretty. It was really definitely a beautiful spot. This is the ocean again. When people think of like resort type ocean, this was the only real place that I went to that was like a resort type place. And then we went to a mountain, and this was the first time in like 9 months that I had seen pine trees, so I really wanted to take a picture of it. And okay, I guess I'll just quickly go through this. Some of the most important things that I learned while I was on exchange was how to make a good first impression. Beforehand, I didn't really think that it was really that important, but now I understand. How to prioritize. Sometimes when you don't speak the language, you really have to pick and choose what you're going to spend effort into saying. Sometimes there are things that are not worth saying, and there are things that are probably you wish you had said. And so I'm not somebody who keeps quiet very often. I like to talk. So that was definitely important for me to learn. I got outside every single day. I did not want to waste a single moment just staying inside. Okay, I'm going. Okay. Navigating and managing on my own. Google Maps, Apple Maps, definitely very important, and especially when you're in a city. How to really learn a language. I had so many exchange student friends, and we definitely did study together, study Chinese, but so many of them wanted to work on their English as well. And as I'm going to Shanghai in a few weeks, or tomorrow, I really understand now what to do and what not to do to improve my Chinese even more. How to deal with difficult people. Sometimes you just don't. And sometimes you just walk away from it. Definitely gained more confidence. It's such an incredible experience going over there. You learn so much more about what you are capable of and your strengths and your weaknesses and what you need to work on. What I miss, friends from all around the world, exploring the country cheap, continuing to improve my language abilities, cooking, and yeah, 7-Eleven. I'm done. Okay.